Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my little internet show about whitewater things. In today's episode, I want to continue our discussion about river knives we've been having lately. I've been testing a lot of knives out, and today I get to talk about one of my favorite ones, the CRKT Bear Claw. This is a sweet little knife. I don't personally use it, but I see the advantages of it. I want to share kind of my thoughts about the pros and some of the cons maybe that it has. So first of all, the kind of in-between, it has a really nice sheath. It's well made. It holds the knife in pretty well. Like, you have to pull pretty hard to get it out. Not like the classic river shorty that pops right out. So this is a knife that we've used forever, but these things fall out and rivers are littered with them everywhere. The Bear Claw can fall out. I know a lot of people that have lost these knives, but it's much harder for it to come out. It's a little bit more of an action, definitely a better sheath than the classic river shorty. I know a lot of people who actually zip tie, I guess there's zip ties you can buy where you zip tie this hole to it and they come off after a little bit of pressure. For some reason it makes me nervous, but maybe it's fine. I'm sure if you do that, test it. But they have it so it's a little extra give, so if they really have to pull it to get it out, and it stays on their PFD really well, of course, once it's zip tied on. So I do like the sheath, but it's not perfect. I love the curved blade. The blade is awesome. It's got a nice serrated edge. It's curved, which I feel like curved blades really cut rope well. So we'll find out this knife cuts through rope really well. And you'll see it has a finger hole, which is nice for two reasons. One, if you're working with this in a stressful environment, knives tend to get lost because they fall down, or if your hands are cold, you might lose it. When your fingers through this hole, it's hard to lose this knife. And it gives you really good just purchase when you go to cut rope. So if I have some dirty throwback rope here I've been testing with, you know, if I put this on here with my finger through there, it cuts right through. It cuts well because the finger hole gives you good hold on the knife. It's a great size serration, and that curve is just awesome. So in terms of a knife, it's really cool. It has a blunt tip, which I really appreciate in a rescue knife. We don't use rescue knives to like stab people or to kill bears or I don't know, attack Martians or whatever. We don't need sharp tips, and so it's nice to have it dull in case you drop it on your foot or you drop it in the raft. It doesn't like puncture the raft. So I think having a blunt tip is really nice here. And again, the finger hole is sweet. So in terms of a knife and its utility, it's great. It's not the best steel. It's good steel, but it's not like this Spyderco knife that I have. This thing has amazing steel. And so when I cut with these side by side, this cuts well, but this is gonna cut just a little bit better. But for the price, this is 50 bucks. It's good steel and it cuts really well. The one thing about the Bear Claw though, to think about and talk about is where do you put it on your PFD? Let's talk about placement. And I see a lot of people put the Bear Claw up on I guess I'd call this the lapel or the shoulder strap of the PFD. And I'm really nervous about this because if you go to pull it like this, at this point, the blade is like really at your neck. Like it really wants to cut your neck. And so, especially if you have it like a zip tie and you're pulling really hard to break that zip tie, if you're in a stressful situation where adrenaline's up, I would be really worried about pulling this knife that direction. It just really, it doesn't want to come, like most river knives like this come down, this one comes across, which would make me nervous. So I would really urge people not to put it like this. You could put it on this side because the blade's facing away, but if you're right-handed, you gotta pull it out with your left hand and then switch it to your right hand. And you know, for me on river knives, I wanna be able to access my river knife with either hand independently. That's why I really like knives in my PFD pocket, because I can unzip with one hand and pull it out with one hand. I have a knife right there, pull it out with one hand. With, you know, either hand I can do that. If I have, the action on this knife is getting bad. If I have this on this side, facing like this, it's really hard to reach across my right hand and pull it out this direction. So I'm not stoked on this position. I think a lot of PFDs have like a central position, which is pretty cool for river knives. Maybe like this, some people like that. But if you're a rafter and trying to pull yourself back up in the raft, this is gonna make it harder having this here. And that's how these things fall out, right? This hits the raft, it comes out. So having this positions here's great. Some of the new PFDs have positions down here below this bulky pocket, which is super smart. The new CRKT PFD covers it, which is super cool. But again, like it's really good for pulling it with your right hand, but would really be tough to bring your left hand over if you only had your left hand available. And my favorite place on the green jacket to put this, so this is the Astro green jacket. is behind here. And this PFD has some space behind here and a couple things you can clip it on. So I've seen a few people have their knife behind the pocket so they can just reach in here and quickly get to it and they're ready to go. Again, something you can only do with your right hand. It's gonna be hard to pull your left hand across, but I like that. The downside of having it behind your pocket is people can't see how cool you are. They're not like, wow, that guy has a cool knife. You know, your cool factor of having your knife prominently displayed goes away when it's hidden, but it's less likely to fall out of the sheath here. If it falls out, it'll maybe loosen up, it'll still be there. It's not gonna hit on something, and it's just quick access in and out. So for me, in the Bear Claw, I do like it a lot. Where to put on my PFD is sort of interesting, and having it a way where both hands can access it is tough. And so you might just choose to give up on that. Be like, you know what? I'm gonna assume I can always have my right hand available, which is, it's a decision you can do, but something to think about. This knife's about 3.5 ounces. This one's about 3 ounces. One thing maybe to consider, and something you might want to think about, is having 2 knives. And it's not something that I do because I really value flotation in the PFD. So I try not to put too many things in here. I tried to. So I might consider, though, having a foldable knife in your pocket. So if you have time, you can just open this up and, you know, get to it, you know, maybe not as quickly. Wow, that action, I gotta clean that. That action is really bad. But anyway, you can quickly, you know, it took me like 4 seconds. So if you wanna have the knife you can access in 1 second, right, put this bad boy in there. So I'd consider, if you wanna be super covered, again, having a foldable knife in your pocket, having a Bear Claw kind of tucked in somewhere, or maybe like tucked in the side facing up so it's less likely to fall out. A lot of people will put their knives right here, which is somewhere to consider as well. Again, you can only get to it with one hand. So, you know, if you have a Bear Claw here and this knife here, you have knives that can be accessed by both hands in a multitude of ways. And so that's just something to consider. So that's my thoughts on the Bear Claw. It is a sweet knife, something to consider. If you do want to buy one, I'll put a link to Amazon down in the show notes. If you use the link, I get a commission. I didn't own this knife. I used Amazon commissions to buy it, and I'll continue to use these commissions to buy more gear to review in the show. So you support the show, but you really give me the opportunity to buy more things for me to talk about. So consider buying it through that link. And as always, add comments. If you use this knife and you love it, tell me. If you use it and you don't like it, love to hear it. This is just stuff I've learned from my own personal observations and also conversations with friends. I had a discussion with a friend the other day who told me about putting it back here, which I really liked. And so I just picked that up from a friend the other day. And so if you have more to add, I'd love to learn more about this knife or knives in general. Add a comment to help educate me, and consider giving us a like and a subscribe and all that stuff. And yeah, that's it for this episode. See you next one. Thanks.